Good evening, everyone. It's a totally blunder just happened. I recorded the class but forgot to on my mic, and 1.5 year wasted. 1.5 hour. Seriously. Okay, let's not. So it happens. Okay, so we have started the linguistic class, linguistic and language, the concept differentiation, how we communicate, why we use the language, who are the linguistic theories, basic morpheme, semantics, morphology, pragmatics, semantics, everything we study in language to understand what actually the language is, how it we use to communicate, how we use and how we make it meaningful and make the meaningful communication with others. And there are not only the human language, but the other species have the way of communication too. So that's all about the communication we study in the language. And also I told you the difference between the language and the linguistic. Okay, so now, before going to the MCQs, yesterday we have finished 20 MCQs, right? So let me give an overview that are the most frequent and repeated literary terms and devices, which is going to be helpful, which will be helpful for you if you will practice in these few days, okay? So Ferdinand de Saussure was the father of linguistics and who gave a lot of concept and literary devices terms which we should know and understand the meaning with the examples and the definitions too. So in the form of binary oppositions that will define how we study the language structure, how the language structure it forms. The whole about the structure, and remember structure से ही आपका concept, structuralism, in which he gave the concept. Ferdinand de Saussure is very important part of the structuralism, who said that the meaning is fixed. Okay, and while the post-structuralism came, in which Jacques Derrida said that meaning is not fixed but it keep changes by giving the concept of difference, deconstruction, deferred. Okay, in the work of grammatology. So let's have an overview of the literary devices. I explained really well. It was 1 hour 90-minute class, and just I look at that, where is my camera? There is no sound. So that time I wasted. So frustration हो जाता है. But anyways, I'm recording this again just for you because you are dependent here. So your time should not be wasted. So synchronic versus diachronic is a very important term. Synchronic, as for synchronic and as for a specific point in time, we study the language, the word. Actually, how the language use in the specific point of a time or same point of time. For example, now. Okay, so the word we use is Gen Z. This is the word we used in now these days. This word you have not heard that used in the ancient time or the in the historical period, right? Gen Z is the word in the that modern people use. So that what it is a specific point in time synchronic. Diachronic evolution or the changes in a language, you will find the changes over the time. Over the time, so diachronic, remember, it is related with the evolutionary in the language over the time or the historical time of the period. So that what is synchronic and the diachronic. Okay. Now, Lang versus parole, Lang and parole, synchronic, diachronic, Lang versus parole, signifier, signified, pragmatic, pragmatic. These are the words that we have already discussed. So these you cannot forget. These are very important, frequent for the exam. Okay, and these two also ask verses with the competence and performance, the concept given by Noam Chomsky. There is a little bit similarity because Lang, which is the abstract social rules followed by an individual, and in that act of the language by the individual is a parole. So similarly, what competence and performance defined. So ये similarity भी आपका बहुत बार PYQs में आ चुका है एग्जाम में. So you have to practice like this. Signifier and signified, we know, कल भी समझा था हमने, पहले भी previous classes में we have already understood. So sound, image or the written word. Okay, I have written the word cat. and you have created in the in your mind the image of the cat. So this has the signified, and this is the signifier. So signifier is you have created the word, and signified you have imagined that cat looks like this. Okay. So sound, image, or written word, that is sounds of cat, and mental concept, the idea of a cat, together they form is a sign. Syntagmatic and pragmatic, this is the horizontal relationship, word order or in the sequence. The cat sat. And paradigmatic is the vertical relationship, like in the words of choice or the substitution word or sentence we use instead of the other. So while using the cat here, we can use the dog. The dog is also sat instead of using the cat. Okay, this is very important. Discourse and cohesive device, which is also called Hallidian cohesion. Very very important. ये already पूछा गया है. So discourse and cohesion device, which is also called Hallidian. These are the glue that holds a text together. Okay, remember anaphora, cataphora, ये सब आप पढ़ चुके हैं. You just have to revise with to match. बेसिकली आपका मैचिंग में आता है. इस टाइप के कॉन्सेप्ट्स है. यू आर गोइंग टू फाइंड इन द मैचिंग सेट्स. ओके. So concept, its definition, and the example. What is anaphora? Anaphora referring backward to an entity that is already mentioned, and cataphora is in contrast to anaphora is forward and mentioned, which is mentioned later. Okay. Exophora referring to something outside the text, like situational. I'm teaching you here. Oh, the video which I have recorded earlier was so meaningful. I explained really well. So the situational context, look at that. While having the conversation with you, I will certainly say, or somebody will say that, what's that? Look at the boys. What are they doing there? Okay. So those are the outside of the context or outside of the conversation that we are having right now. That is exophora. Ellipse is the intentional emission of words that are understood from the context. Understood from the context, intentional omissions, that are you coming? While having the conversation, somebody asks you that are you coming for the party tonight? So you will say yes or no, or there is probability. Might you can come or not. Okay. Substitution, replacing a word with a placeholder word to avoid the repetition. I have a red pen. Do you have one? So red pen here is replaced with the one. So it is a substitution. In the red pen, instead of red pen, you have used the word one. That also means the same. Collocation is very important, everyone. Words that naturally co-occur, that means heavy rain versus a strong rain. You are here defining that heavy rain versus strong rain. Since morning it is raining heavily. Okay, तो you are defining that बहुत भारी बारिश हो रही है, बहुत तेज बारिश हो रही है, बहुत ज्यादा मोटी मोटी बूंदें गिर रही हैं. So that what you mention. It means so heavy rain. Stylistic and figurative devices are also there. Foregrounding is very very important. So using language in a way that it draws the attention to itself through deviation, like from breaking rules or parallelism or repeating the structures. So that what is a foregrounding. You are here breaking the rules like the grammar structure, and you are using in a language. Defamiliarization is a very important concept and most repeated PYQs, part of Russian formalism by Viktor Shlotsky in his work Art is a Technique. Metonymy. Metonymy is also very important. If you have analyzed, if you have practiced the PYQs, you will say and you will admit, you will accept that yes, these are the repeated one. So metonymy referring to something by the name of something closely associated with. The pen is mitred. This is the very fine and common example of metonymy. Synecdoche is also there. Litotes is one of the very important. And ironic understatement. Ironic understatement using a negative to confirm a positive. He is no fool. Like here you have used the word negation. Negation, that means negative word, no, not, never. These are called the negations or the negative terms. So you have used the negative words first. That defines that he is very smart, he is not fool, he is not silly. Okay. Polysemy, when a single word has multiple related meanings, like head of a person versus head of a department. So head is a homonyms here. Like it has the same spelling and the same pronunciation but with a different meaning. Okay. So this is the homonym. Pragmatic and interactional is there, but one of the most important I would like to tell you is communicative competence. Communicative competence is a term given by Del Hims, who knows that not just the grammar but the social rules of when and how to speak. While having the conversation or when we speak, we not only the grammatical structure work, but we speak as part of people's perception, as per the society, as per the social rules. For example, that while talking with elders, how we should speak, how we should behave in a very formal and polite manner, respectful manner, or if we are talking or having a conversation with our friends, then we talk randomly anything. Okay. सो इट इज अ सोशल रूल्स व्हेन कि कब बोलना है और कैसे बोलना है, कौन से मैनर में बोलना है. सो you will study speech act by Austin and Searle. Searle, locutionary, elocutionary, and perlocutionary. This will, once I will start the class now, MCQs practice, in that we will see. You can just have an overview that locutionary is the act of a saying. कुछ कहना है आपको, आपने कुछ कहा, कह दिया. Elocutionary is the intention, by which intention you have just said anything, like you are promising, you are threatening somebody, or you are commanding, you are giving instructions or anything else. And perlocutionary, the effect on the listeners, what you have said, by which intention you have said, and what are the effects on the listener of what did you say. आपने जो भी कहा है उसका क्या इफेक्ट, क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ है लिसनर पे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई विल से that is the high time for you all to practice and revise consistently. Morning and evening you have two papers, so morning 2 units of for paper 1 and evening 2 units of paper 2. This is how you can manage these 10 days. And going with MCQs, PYQs, and giving mock test. Mock test will let you know that how much you have practiced, and time tackle it will teach you. Okay. So it will be the speech act theory by J.L. Austin. Now cooperative principle is also very important. In cooperative principle we learn four maxims. Four maxims, which is you can learn Q, Q, R, M. Okay. So Q for quality, Q for quantity, R for relation, and M for manner. This is the very important theory that people follow for clear communication. While speaking, you must follow the quality of the communication, speech quality of the speech, that it must be precise, truth, clear, and quantity. You must follow that if you are somewhere, how much you speak. Like you're just speaking randomly anything and nobody is liking, so you have to speak limited. Relation, if you, anything you are speaking, there must be relation between the sentences or with the situation. Manner, in which manner you should talk. Okay. Polite, you have angry manner, you are talking, you are apologizing, you are regretting. So these are the four cues you must remember. बहुत questions इस पे आते हैं. We will practice in the MCQs. Now there is a phase theory. So just to listen, phase theory is Brown and Levinson are the linguist theorists who are associated with phase theory in the positive phase and negative phase. So positive phase is the desire to be liked or accepted. Whenever you speak, you will accept that listener will like or accept what you are saying. Negative phase, the desire to be independent and unimposed upon. Okay, that should not be imposed or stressed or emphasized, that it is compulsory that you must like. We have studied the innatism theories in the yesterday's class, which is very important. Innatism, innate theory, that child has language innate born, the child have the innate ability to learn the language by birth. By birth they have this. So this theory is given by Noam Chomsky, which is also we call language acquisition device, कि उनके माइंड में एक डिवाइस होता है जो वो किसी भी लैंग्वेज को एक्वायर करते हैं बाय बर्थ, बाय लर्निंग थ्रू देयर पेरेंट्स, बाय सराउंडिंग्स और एनीवन, ओके, और नेबर्स. सो ये आपका इनेटिज्म थियरी होता है. बिहेवियरिज्म वी स्टडी दिस इन टीचिंग एप्टीट्यूड आल्सो, which is a very popular and popular concept by B.F. Skinner. The theory that language is learned through the habit formation. आपकी क्या हैबिट है, what you have observed throughout the day, throughout your childhood of your parents, your father, your siblings, and those habits developed in your behavior. You have learned from your parents, your siblings, so that it reflects your behavior कि आपने कुछ अच्छा सीखा है या बुरा सीखा है, आपके घर में ऐसे होता है, आपका एटमॉस्फेयर सराउंडिंग्स कैसा रहा है. So that is also a type of a language that you learn from. So linguistic relativity is a very important. कल भी बताया था. Sapir-Whorf, who was a student and a pupil, teacher and pupil, the idea that the structure of our language, relativity, that how we perceive the world around us, हमारे आसपास जो world है, जो environment है, उसको हम language के through कैसे perceive करते हैं, how we relate. So they also give the concept of strong and weak. So this one was later rejected, and weak is the concept that how we perceive the world around us by the language. Okay, systematic, functional, linguistic. It is a concept by Halliday. Here you have to view the language as a social tool used to perform the meta functions. Meta functions like it has expanded, broadened, ideational, interpersonal context or the textual context. So this is the systematic function. Okay. Now this one is most repeated and important one, Pidgin. Pidgin, Creolization, Creole are the very frequent theories that NTA asks. So Pidgin is a marginal language that arises when two or more groups with no common language need to communicate. For example, I am explaining you in English only fully, but you are the listeners and many of you are completely understood everything in Hindi. So what I am saying you are not able to understand, you are not able to understand what I am explaining. So that will be there different. There will be the pidgin. So two or more groups with no common language. मैं इंग्लिश बोल रही हूँ और आप हिंदी बोल रहे हैं. So कोई भी हमारे बीच कोई कॉमन लैंग्वेज नहीं है इंटरेक्शन का, कम्युनिकेशन का. So that वहां पर जो हम एक वर्ड फिर और सेंटेंस हमारे पास कुछ आ जाता है कम्युनिकेट करने के लिए, तो आई व्हेन आई ट्राई टू स्पीक हिंदी दैट विल बी वेरी लिमिटेड. ओके, and you will try to understand English, that will also be very limited by your mind. So communication here usually majorly ये होता है आपका ट्रेड पर्पस के लिए, क्योंकि वहां पे ज्यादा कम्युनिकेशन ज्यादा बोलना नहीं पड़ता है. So that what it means. Okay, so simply Pidgin ko you can understand like this, that if there is a person who are trying to communicate with each other, but they don't know the exact language of each other too. So somebody is English and somebody is Hindi. So you need to, if you still want to communicate, you will try. But there is no any native speaker. So whatever the word, whatever the sentence you are going to speak, that will be very limited. Your speaking, your speech will also be very limited. आप थोड़े थोड़े से वर्ड बिल्कुल बोलेंगे कि आपका काम चल जाए. ठीक है. So it is a non-native speakers. It always a second language. Pidgin आपका होगा reduced structure, limited vocabulary and simplified grammar ही होंगे बस इसमें, और restricted functions used only for a specific task. Okay. Now you can learn the synchronic as a same time, diachronic different times or the over the time history, anaphora apt, that means when you use for the backward reference, and cataphora both are we use for the contrast terms. Now let's move to the next. Now here are the same concept structuralism. In structuralism we have so many concepts given by Ferdinand de Saussure. So synchronic, diachronic, Lang, parole, syntagmatic, pragmatic. Then we have in discourse cohesion we study. Discourse cohesion we study anaphora, cataphora. It is a concept by Halliday cohesion. Cataphora, ellipsis, exophora. Collocation is very important, everyone. Do not forget. Then you have foregrounding by stylistic, defamiliarization, metonymy, synecdoche, elocutionary. Then you have a perlocutionary, implicature. You have presupposition in cognitive and mental based. In linguistics, we study universal grammar, competence, then we have performance. In Indian tradition, we study Spota, which is by Bhartrihari, Vakroti by Kuntaka. Then we have a Pidgin. Just be understood that what is Pidgin. Pidgin is a marginal language where there is no connection, no native speakers. There is only limited word and sentence that you use to communicate. Then we have Creole. Creole is a pidgin. Creole ko pidgin bhi you can say. So a pidgin that has become the first language. First language in the sense that it is a mother tongue that you learn very first. So pidgin that has become the first language, mother tongue of a new generation of the speakers. So it is nativized. Children learn it as their primary tongue expanded. The vocabulary and grammar become complex and fully developed here, and it is full range of functions used for all social needs, like you are using for the poetry writing, you are using for the law, you are using in your everyday life. Okay, Basilect is also important. It is also called post Creole continuum, the variety of a Creole that is most different from the standard lexifier. In Basilect you study the acrolect, very important everyone. Sprackbund. Then you study in phonetics phono, partition, lenition, aspiration, complementary distribution. These are the important terms, literary devices that you must know. Diglossia, register, ये आपका आ चुका है. Isogloss, standardization, Grimm's law. We will study this comparative philology, Werner's law, and then we have great vowel shift, how vowel changes, and we saw the shift of in the form of great vowel during the Middle English. I language means internal language, and E language means external language of the actual speech. Okay. Now this there is the mention of the process of Pidginization and Creolization. So there is a simply you have to reduce or simplified. Okay. Simplified in the sense you have to, like we use in cat, we use the word s. So inflectional bound morpheme, this is how the whole procedure works. So reduction in the sense ki s wahan se remove ho jayega, the cat will become the cat again, and cat's value adding, it will change the meaning, that will define the many cats. Creolization, lexifier versus substrate, this is also important. Lexifier, the dominant language, usually like European like English, French, or Portuguese. These are the lexifier or the dominant language native speakers that provides the vocabulary. For example, Haitian Creole and French is the here lexifier. Similarly, English was initially a dialect, but later it became a complete language. So how there was a change, the linguistic work, and the major role played Geoffrey Chaucer. Substitute the native language of the subordinate group, often here African and indigenous, that influence the grammar and phonology. Okay. Now, monogenetic theory, polygenetic and language that is bioprogram hypothesis. These are also important. You must not skip. So, monogenetic theory, it is also called the relaxification, suggests all European-based Pidgin creoles derived from the single source, okay, which is by 15th century Portuguese Proto-Pidgin called Sabir. Then we have polygenetic theory argues. Now this theory argues that pidgins arouses independently in different parts of the world. Okay, because humans here simplify the language in similar ways when under pressure. अब pressurization में language bioprogram hypothesis, what does it mean? It claims that children have an innate bioprogram. Similarly, this concept you can relate with the Noam Chomsky's innatism theory, or the innate or LAD, language acquisition device. That is, children have the innate device or innate bioprogram to learn the language by birth. to create a complex grammar from a simple pidgin, which is why Creoles here worldwide share the similar structure. Okay. Then you have decreolization and the continuum. So when a Creole here remains in contact with the prestige lexifier, it creates a post-Creole continuum. That what we call decreolization or the continuum. In this, you must know what is basilect, mesolect, and acrolect. So basilect is the variety most different from the standards. Mesolect is the intermediate varieties, and the acroclate the variety closest to the standard language. How sudden changes we see in the language or the speaking, that what it means. This thing you can also revise how you can identify or you can quickly learn. So signified the physical sound or the ink, the written letter word. Signified is the mental concept, locutionary what is said, illocutionary what is meant, and prelocutionary what happened, like the impact. Now the big three in Indian English literature, tell me who were the writers known as the big three. Big three in linguistic, the Green's law, Werner's law and the Grassman's law. इसको डिटेल में हम अपने एमसीक्यूज में पढ़ेंगे. Convergence versus divergence is also important. Like in language, how the word convert from one to another and forms new word or new meaning. Then divergence when one language is splits into two and they become the more different over the time. Okay, example is also given here. Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, remember linguistic determinism they talked about, and linguistic relativity. This is a very famous research they did together. So language here determines how you think. Mostly it is rejected today. How you think, आप language ये सिर्फ define नहीं करता कि आप कैसे सोचते हैं, बट लैंग्वेज आपकी सराउंडिंग के बेस पे बनता है कि आप किसी भी चीज को ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ योर सराउंडिंग, हाउ यू परसीव द वर्ल्ड, how you perceive and observe the people, everything, the whole phenomena. And linguistic relativity जिनको उन्होंने weak से categorize किया था, language influences how you perceive the world. So ये strong and weak वाला भी आपका PYQs में आ चुका है. Okay, so you can practice this. Now let's practice the MCQs, everyone. I hope you got the point. These are the devices you must know. इनमें से कुछ भी आ जाएगा, you should. And remember the devices के जो questions होते हैं majorly you are going to find in the matching set of the questions, और in the अभी MCQs हम करेंगे तो you will find out that how. So we have done 20 or 17, 18 questions yesterday. Now let's start with the question number 21, which is the matching questions. Match, you have to match with the communicative breakdown or conversational action with list to precise Grecian maxims. So just I told you the four maxims. So you have to now find out these four maxims. Okay. Read this first, and where are the rest three? Maxim of manner, quality, QQRM, quality, quantity, relation, and manner. So try to match quickly. So now this theory I was talking about, everyone, speech act theory, which is given by Austin, J.L. Austin. Remember, this is very important. So J.L. Austin gave the speech act theory. आपका PYQs भी रह चुका है. And later this theory it was expanded by John Searle. So in the work How to Do Things 1962, he talked about that what actually speech should be, what should be your intention, and what should be the effect on the listeners too. So this is he categorized this in three distinct structural forces, and that one we are going to study here. Locutionary act, illocutionary act, and the prelocutionary. So locutionary is the simple what you said. आपने कुछ भी कह दिया, खत्म. But illocutionary says shows your intention, that by which intention you are trying to say something. For example, if I have said or if I am teaching you J.L. Austin's speech act theory, so my aim and my intention is to that you must understood this concept very well, कि आपको ये बिल्कुल अच्छे से समझ में आ जाए कि स्पीच एक्ट थ्योरी क्या है. इसको उन्होंने थ्री डिस्टिंक्टिव कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड किया है, और लिक्वेशनरी की एक्ट क्या है, इलोक्यूशनरी की मीनिंग क्या है, परलिक्वेशनरी हम कब यूज करते हैं. सो माय एम, माय इंटेंशन इज टू दिस. Perlocutory act that whatever I am saying, my intention is to make you understand. But what is the effect of my saying is on you, on the listener, that what it shows perlocutory act we study. So locutionary simply in previous slide we have just revised that what we say or said, or locutionary whatever you say by which intention, what is the reason intention behind what you are saying, and perlocutory what is the effect or the impact on the listeners whatever you have said. Okay, so if I will say that you must practice, you must revise, this is the high time, this is the peak time for your revision. So it simply means कि I want कि आपका score अच्छा है, you all can get your JRF or net at one go, and you do not need to practice or revise again and again. Just one go, you can just crack at once like this, and this is how this my intention that I want you I want that you have a very smile on your face and you will say that yes I did it, and you will feel happy, your parents will feel proud. So that what a teacher uh, feels for their pupils. Okay, so this is whole distinctive three distinctive features of a speech act theory by J.L. Austin. Now, these act categorized into the five formal categories by John Searle. How he expanded these? So he, in five formal categories, he expanded the illocutionary, the second one. Remember, not locutionary or the P, बट द सेकेंड वन द इलोक्यूशनरी द इंटेंशन, इंटेंशन क्या क्या कैसे वे में हो सकता है. सो फर्स्ट वन इज असर्टिव और द रिप्रेजेंटेटिव. सिमिलरली हियर committing the speaker to the truth of something, that is you are stating something, you are giving your conclusion or you are asserting. Directive, that means you are trying to get the listener to do something. अब यहाँ पर मैंने just I said कि you must practice now, so I want कि आप कुछ करें, आप कुछ करें इन द सेंस यू रिवाइज, आप पढ़ें, आप रिवाइज करें. तो दिस इज द एम. अब इसको मैं कमांड वे में भी कह सकती हूँ, इसको मैं बैक करके भी कह सकती हूँ और रिक्वेस्ट भी कर सकती हूँ, प्लीज 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 आप पढ़ना शुरू कर दीजिए. और आई कैन से दिस इज द हाई टाइम यू मस्ट स्टडी नाउ. और not while holding your score you can blame your teacher or your parents that the notes were not helpful, the class was not helpful. You are playing a blame game while holding your score. So that should not also be happen. Commissive, committing the speaker to a future course of action. In future, like in upcoming days, if I will promise that just the day after tomorrow, we are going to complete or we are going to practice one-liner questions of all the important topics like British literature, world literature, we have linguistic, we have literary criticism, literary theories. So it will be my future course of action that I am promising or I am taking a vow. Expressing in the sense that I am trying to express a psychological states or feelings, like I am saying thank you for your thank you for subscribing the channel, thank you for purchasing the notes, but that should or I will say congratulations that you finally did it, you have your net JRF. So that is the expression, you are expressing your emotions. Declarations is that altering the institutional state of reality instantly upon the utterance. You have declared something, you found guilty. Or if I will say that you have not done well, you should have studied well. When I was keep telling you that पढ़िए पढ़िए पढ़िए, but आपने नहीं पढ़ा, so that's why आपने perform नहीं किया अच्छा, तो declare हो गया. And also in this sense that I now pronounce you husband and wife, declaration ही होता है. और judge when he judge said that you are guilty, you found it guilty, so you must go to jail now. Okay, so this is the question. Now based on this you must give the correct answer seriously. Immediately comment your answer. The question is, in speech act theory, what is the precise term used to describe the underlying social intent, purpose, or communicative action performed by the speaker? Locutionary, illocutionary, perlocutionary, or descriptive? try to get the keyword. Here it is mentioned the intention. So intention आपका second वाले में ही आया था, first वाले में था बस आपने कुछ भी anything you just said. Prakash was it was effect, इसको कीवर्ड से आप कर सकते हैं, एंड इम्पैक्ट, एंड दिस वाज योर इंटेंशन, रीजन, बाय पर्पस, तो ये आपका इलोक्यूशनरी में आएगा. सो करेक्ट आंसर विल बी ऑप्शन 2. ओके. Oh, this is very important, everyone. The 5 direct categories of John Searle, the expansion of the speech act theory. So you have to read the sentences and match with these 5 categories of the speech act expanded by John Searle. So correct answer, I swear to return your book by tomorrow morning without fail. So swear कहाँ पे आया था, क्या होगा ये? You are expressing, you are declaring, or you are commissive. Please pass me that salt shaker from the edge of the table. So please word if you are using here, what does it mean? I declare this culture sports stadium open to the public. I am so deeply sorry for stepping on. So I am so deeply sorry. So it is your expression, right? I declare, so you can take it to the declaration. I swear to pass, submissive, you are committing, and please pass me the, this is going to be the डायरेक्टिव. एक गलत मैच हो गया शायद, 1 सेकेंड, लेट्स चेक. ए यू कैन मैच विथ सेकेंड, ठीक था कमिसिव से. देन बी विथ फर्स्ट, सी वाज विथ फोर्थ. यस, एवरी मैच वाज करेक्टली मैच. ओके. तो ये है, आपको ऐसे सेंटेंस अगर आ जाएंगे तो यू डोंट नीड टू गेट कंफ्यूज. इसमें क्या करना है आपको, यू जस्ट हैव टू get the clarity of all these 5 terms, 5 categories, which is given by John Searle. Okay. ये वर्क की क्रोनोलॉजी है, ये इतना नहीं पूछा जाता है, so we can skip this too. See this question based on syntax structural syntax. And just started the class because I was like time waste हो गया. So sorry, the time is for the class 8 p.m. usually, and if I will get late 8:30, okay. If any of you want the specific class unit or the 100 plus MCQs practice with detailed explanation, so the price is only 49 per unit, or any specific topic you can ask, okay, or 299 just today. Many of you have purchased, so you know. And this is the EWSM in small letter 2025 @gmail.com. This is the email ID. You have just to email and let me know if any of you want the class PDF, notes, anything for your last time revision. Okay. So this question is, everyone, in structural syntax. And let me tell you, if any of you want to prepare, or if you are aiming for December 2026, you can join the premium group. I have general group and premium group where serious aspirants only practice, very few serious aspirants only practice with the daily 25 MCQs and 10 PYQs daily, morning, evening, and all the unit wise concept explanations, everything. Okay. And in structural syntax, what is the precise term used to describe a structural property of language where a sentence can be interpreted in multiple distinct ways because its words can be grouped into different hierarchical tree structure? Example is given: the hunter shot the elephant in his pajama. So correct answer will be option 2. Structural syntax की बात की जा रही है. So here correct answer will be option 2, structural ambiguity. Okay. So what does it mean? Structural ambiguity occurs when the surface string of words remains identical. Okay. But the underlying phrase structure rules allow for two entirely different free configurations. So in the sentence here, The hunter shot the elephant in his pajama. The prepositional phrase in his pajama can either modify the noun phrase the elephant or attach to the main verb phrase. Okay. So this is the structural ambiguity. Now lexical, semantic and pragmatic station you must revise too. ये भी आते हैं but पहले आप इन तीनों को देख लीजिए. See this first three: lexical ambiguity, heteronyms, hyponymy, and the last one was antonymy. Antonymy. तो एंटोनिमी के तो आंसर यहाँ पे बिल्कुल इन फ्रंट ऑफ है. इन एंटोनिमी इज अ स्ट्रक्चरल बाइनरी ऑपोजिशन बिटवीन वर्ड्स दैट एक्सप्रेसेस द कॉन्ट्रास्टिंग मीनिंग्स लाइक अलाइव और डेड, hot, opposite words which we have studied in our school. A you can match with the third. So A you have a lexical ambiguity. That means a situation where a single spoken word has multiple meanings purely because a specific lexical item is a homonym. That is bank of a river versus financial bank. So you can understand the lexical ambiguity is also a multiple meaning giving words. Okay, so bank heteronyms you can match with B with first you can match. Heteronyms is words that are spelled identically but carry completely different meanings and pronunciation. Lead as a metal versus lead as a verb. Just we have understood the word head. Head versus head. So head we have the human head or you can say the head of the department. And the hyponymy is you can match with the second, an abstract or hierarchical relationship where a general term encompasses more specific words like flower is a superordinate to rose and tulip. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Do not skip the class and do not skip any questions, everyone, because nothing is going to be waste these days. You know what is going in our country, कुछ भी हो रहा है, पेपर लीक्स हो रहे हैं, कोई स्टूडेंट्स की सुन नहीं रहा है. तभी बिहार में भी सेम सिचुएशन हुआ. All the students like they were standing in front of the train कि पेपर ही कैंसिल करवा दिया. सो कुछ भी हो रहा है कंट्री में, स्टूडेंट्स की कोई सुन ही नहीं रहा है. तो आप बस अपना पॉजिटिव, यू मस्ट स्टे पॉजिटिव, प्रिपेयर वेल एंड जस्ट टेक द नेम वट एवर यू, भगवान की नहीं, अपने पेरेंट्स की ले, अपने गुरु की ले, एंड गो टू द एग्जाम हॉल एंड जस्ट से यस आई कैन डू इट. एनटीए यू मस्ट डिफीट. So now let's understand that what is morphonemic variation in English. इतना डीप जाने की we don't need, but don't know we cannot predict. Previous class if you'll see na there the linguistic which is very helpful. So phonological concept, this is falls in phonological. This occurs when the actual phonetic pronunciation of a single morpheme changes systematically based on the surrounding speech words. फॉर एग्जाम्पल सिंगल वर्ड मोफीम वर्ड्स जैसे यहाँ पे ऐड हो जाता है, वर्क से वर्कर बन जाता है, तो मीनिंग आपकी बदल जाती है. और उसी में जो वर्क आपका एक रूट वर्ड है उसी में आपने ईडी ऐड कर दिया तो वर्क बिकेम्स वर्कड, राइट. सो दिस इज हाउ यू प्रोनाउंस्ड. यहाँ पे इट इज गिवन द प्रोनाउंसिएशन व्हाइल यूजिंग वॉइसलेस, वॉइस्ड, एल्वेलर, प्लॉसिव. ये सब हमने अपने एमए वी हैव ऑलरेडी अंडरस्टूड दिस. ओके, see this question. Now the pronunciation of the English regular past tense marker ed in the word packed and d in the word bagged is an example of which linguistic phenomena. So it just we study, it is a morphonemic variation. Morphonemic variation which is a part of phonology. Okay, so this is the meaning. Move on to the next. Now see this question is very important, everyone. The question is in historical linguistics, when a speaker mistakenly recreates a new singular word from an existing word, by striping away what they assume is a plural suffix, that is creating the singular word P from the original historical singular word peace. What morphological process has taken place here? कौन सा morphological process यहाँ पर use हुआ है while changing the mistakenly recreates a new singular word from already the existing one? Okay. So blending, back formation, clipping, or reduplication. Which one? So it is the option to back formation. Okay, back formation. Like we have used the word is peace in the earlier time, but here we have used the word only p. So यहाँ से by mistakenly if he there is an error. So this was is also used now these days to define p means mutter, right? तो ये बैक फॉर्मेशन होता है, यानी कि वर्ड्स के पीछे से like you remove the word or letter and form the new. So back formation occurs when speakers mentally reverse engineer a word. Historically, peace was a singular mass noun. However, because it ended in Z sound, modern peace. English speakers assumed it was, so now in plural sense we use peace, right? Speakers assumed it was plural and chopped off the suffix to invent the new singular word p. Okay, so this is the whole. Similarly, a big shift happened when singular word cherry was back from the old French singular word cherise. Now see this question. You have brunch, flu, that is from influenza, laser, that light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation, edit. तो blending कौन सा है, acronym, back formation और clipping? Which one of these you have to correctly match? At least you must know. Brunch word was getting a lot of popularity few last year, I guess. So correct answer will be A. You can match with second, that brunch or breakfast is a blending. पोर्टमांटो जिसको बोला जाता है blend, किस किस का, ब्रेकफास्ट and lunch का ये blend है. Okay, so this is the blending. Then we have a B, you can match with second, that is the clipping. So flu is the clipping here, fluenza. Okay, fluenza, like you have here clip the word, while editing you do this. Clipping here, it means it shortens a long word by lopping off syllables while keeping the core meaning identical. Then C you can match with third. C you have a laser acronym, okay? And D you can match with a back formation. So C is an acronym, takes the initial letters of a phrase and joins them into a brand new pronunciable word. While D, this is a classic case of back formation where a functional verb is extracted by trimming a pre-existing noun. Okay. Now see this question and immediately comment your answer. The question is, in the study of vocabulary and semantic relationship, what is the precise term used to describe a structural situation where two or more completely different words share an identical physical spelling but carry the separate meanings? You have understood this. Example is given, bark and bark. So it is very easy. It is होमोग्राफ्स यू राइट द सेम, सिनोनिम्स, मेटोनिम्स और द होमोफोन्स. ये होमोनिम्स था और होमोनिम्स को पॉलीसेमी भी बोला गया था. सो इट इज द होमोग्राफ. ओके, होमोग्राफ ऑल्सो अ वर्ड्स दैट आर रिटन आइडेंटिकली, लाइक होमो मीन्स सेम, ग्राफ मीन्स राइटिंग, बिकॉज दे शेयर, इसको होमोनिम्स भी बोलते हैं, रिमेम्बर, because they share the exact same spelling but point to completely separate. Similarly, you have taken many of the examples, head, you have just bank, bank and bank of the river and financial bank. Then you have head of the department and head of a human, and now here bark. So bark is tree के जो bark होता है, और एक bark like dog when barks. Okay, this is also the same. You have to two and two, ये कल हम understand कर चुके हैं. अब आपका एक स्टीफन क्रैशन का सेकंड लैंग्वेज एक्विजिशन थियरी विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो स्टीफन क्रैशन्स मॉनिटर model 1982, Krashen here introduced a highly influential set of five hypotheses that fundamentally change how English is taught as a second foreign language. Okay, and that what he said, the acquisition learning hypothesis. This is the core pillar of the theory. Krashen here argues that there are two independent systems for developing the ability in a second language. If you are learning, if I'm learning the foreign language, or that will our second language called. Okay, except for our mother tongue. So acquisition is important. That means a subconscious process identical to the way children pick up their first language, the mother tongue. It requires meaningful interaction in the target language, focusing on the communication rather than abstract rules. So when we, it is clearly said that English से बोलनी नहीं आती है, स्पीकिंग कैसे करें, स्पोकन कैसे इम्प्रूव होगा. सो यहाँ पर तीन चीजें बोली जाती है कि टू इम्प्रूव योर स्पोकन, टू इम्प्रूव योर कम्युनिकेशन, you just need to listen first, read to improve your fluency, your reading, your pronunciation of the words. That what importance in a spoken. So that what if we are going to learn the language as a second acquisition, so we need that too. uh, we need interaction, we need to focus on the communication, and we do not focus, or we do not care about the grammatical structure, grammar rules. But while we listen, while we communicate and we read, we improve our communication, we are spoken, we learn. So learning is a conscious process of formal instruction where students memorize grammatical rules, patterns, and vocabulary items. So this is the whole process of learning. Learning means that you are not only going to listen, but you will learn everything from the basic. You will learn the grammar part, you will learn the structure, you will learn the pattern, you will learn the vocabulary items. So Krashen here claims that conscious learning cannot turn into spontaneous acquisitions. Okay, so that's why he talked about this. And what is the affective filter hypothesis? This psychological concept states that the student's emotional variables, such as you feel anxious, you feel self-confidence, you feel motivated. So these type of things can act as an invisible screen that blocks your input. Similarly, if a classroom environment includes high anxiety, the affective filter goes up, right? Preventing input from reaching the brain's language acquisition module. Now let's see the question. So the question is, in his second language acquisition theory, Stephen Krashen argues that formal grammar instructions and conscious rule memorization only serve as a mental editor that checks speech accuracy after it has been generated. What is the precise name of the hypothesis that details the specific function? Correct answer. Option 2 will be the correct answer. That means the monitor hypothesis. Okay. So the monitor hypothesis states that conscious learning plays a very limited role in the second language performance. It functions strictly as a monitor or the editor. It alters or polishes the output generated by the subconscious acquired system. And provided that the speaker has enough time, focuses on form, and explicitly knows the grammatical rule. Okay. Now see this question. The question is, in the study of language, policy and multilingualism, what is the precise term used to describe a stable societal situation where two distinct varieties of the same language are used side by side within a community? That is split strictly by social function, like high prestige variety used for administration and literature, and low variety used for the casual conversations. तो मल्टीलिंग्विज्म की यहाँ पे बात की जा रही है. So here is the options: code switching, diglossia, or Pidginization, or creolization. Quickly comment your answer. So correct answer of this question is option 2. This is the diglossia. Okay. So what is diglossia? It is diglossia first popularized by social linguist Charles Ferguson in 1959. He describes a highly organized form of bilingualism or dialect split in a diglossic society. So high variety is formal taught in schools and used in religious ceremonies, while low codes and new broadcast. The low variety is the local regional dialect used at home and markets, showing a clear split based on the social setting and prestige. It is very easy to understand कि कौन सी सिचुएशन कौन से सर्कमस्टांसिस में हम हाई लैंग्वेज का यूज करते हैं और कहाँ पर हमें लो लैंग्वेज यूज करने की नीड होती है. ओके, सो दिस इज द डायग्लोशिया. रिमेंबर, in the social linguistic concept, and with you have to match with the technical definition. Begin you have Creole, interlanguage, and code switching. So you can match with A with third, that begins in an impromptu language. A you can match with the third. It is a contact language with a simplified grammar and limited vocab, built quickly for basic trade between groups who do not share a common language. Okay, just we have understood few moments back. Then you can match B with the 4. So B you have Creole. So Creole is a stable, structurally complex contact language that began as a pidgin but became adopted by a new generation of children as their native mother tongue. So Creole or pidgin, Creole and pidgin you must understand all together. Both are interconnected. Then you can match C with first. See, you have interlanguage. So, interlanguage is a dynamic intermediate language system that created a second language learner who is actively trying to master a target tongue. Okay, like we learn German, French, Spanish, Italian. Then you have a code switching. So, code switching is a communicative practice alternating between two or more distinct language or dialects within a single conversation. हम एक language बोलते बोलते पर मैं ही you can take my example. Just I'm explaining everything in English, but I'm switching the language into Hindi also. So that what is code switching. This is the concept of diglossia. So first formulated by diglossia is the concept first formulated by Charles Charles Ferguson in 1959. The concept explains a specific structural situation within a speech community where two distinct varieties of the same language exist side by side. Okay, and each allocated a sharp, non-overlapping social functions. So here Ferguson divided these two varieties into a strict structural hierarchy, and that what we call high language, high variety, or the low variety. So for the high variety of language and low variety of language, this theory you can immediately connect or remember Charles Ferguson. Okay, हम समझ चुके हैं क्या है as per the question. Now see this question. This question is in the study of language. In the study of language structure and word formation, what is the precise term used to describe a structural boundary where a speaker adds a bound morpheme to base word to create a brand new lexical item, frequently changing the word's grammatical classes like adding the ness or prefix you have un, im to the adjective kind to create the noun kindness. Which one? Inflectional, derivational, syntactic, or the blending? Which one? Correct answer of this question would be option 2. This is the derivational morphology. Okay, derivational morphology is responsible for creating new words, unlike inflectional morphology. Inflectional morphology adjusts a word for grammatical agreement, like adding s for plurals or ed past we use without altering the core word class. While derivational processes attach affix that create entirely new dictionary entries, often switching the word from one part of a speech to another. So यहाँ पर kind was the word given in the example, right? So if you will add un, or here you are going to add ness, or if you will remove this un, kindness will become or unkindness. So this is the derivational, and that was the inflectional. Now this is very important. Morphological and morphological term. Example, you have to match bound root morpheme, free morpheme, inflectional morpheme, or derivational morpheme. Match. So in yesterday's class, I told you free morpheme, cat, run, base word that can stand alone as independent. So this was the free morpheme, right? Bound morpheme needs the root free morphemes. So it needs to relate with free morpheme. It was like walked, creativity, and unfull or affix that cannot stand alone. It was you have to check inflectional, walked, inflectional, and derivational, and create transforming a word into a complex noun, that will be the bound root morpheme. Okay, so you can match a with the third inflectional morpheme. So inflectional, you add only s or ed in the root word, no? And derivational morpheme, you add on both, affix, prefix, and suffix both to change the complete new word. And this is the free morpheme, which is totally independent. अगर कल वाली क्लास में if you have not watched yet, you will see कि नहीं questions उसमें नहीं थे, so you are making a mistake. उसमें in concept को I have explained in a very good manner, so you must watch that class, then you are able to understand this if you are the beginner. Now see this question, you have to match with cataphora, anaphora, exophora, or and endophora. इसमें ऑप्शन भी है. Cataphora, anaphora, both were contrast to each other. Exophora, which is out of the text, and endophora. Quickly comment. They are in front of each other, I guess, entirely outside the text. It is matched correctly. Cataphora was used to refer something earlier in the text. Anaphora later in the text. Exophora something entirely outside the text, and endophora general term for textual reference, that is internal. Okay, so option 1 will be the correct answer. Now match this question. You have to arrange them in chronology. Course in General Linguistics by Ferdinand de Saussure, Syntactic Structure, Noam Chomsky, Aspects of the Theory of Syntax by Noam Chomsky, and Language, Leonard Blomfield. We must know the year, exact year. Correct answer, it's option 1, okay? So 1, 4, 2, and 3 will be the correct answer. Course in General Linguistics. Here Saussure 1916 posthumously published the work Course in General Linguistic Language by Bloomfield 1933, Syntactic Structure by Noam Chomsky 1957, and Aspects of the Theory of Syntax again by Noam Chomsky 1965. Okay. Now you're going to find the question like this, that which of the following statements is are correct regarding Noam Chomsky's transformational generative grammar and its theoretical framework. Okay, so here are the statement given first, and here is the deep structure, surface, kernel, and the options. Okay, so just read. ज़्यादा छोटा हो जाएगा, ये स्लाइड बनाना पड़ेगा मुझे आई थिंक. Competence का just read and now this three. So what will be the correct answer, everyone? According to Noam Chomsky's transformational generative grammar, you have to find out that which one of them is correct. Competence, he said, deep structure, surface structure, or kernel. Which one? Correct answer will be option 2, second and third only. That is surface structure and competence. So remember now, Noam Chomsky's competence and performance are the concept given by him. So incompetence refers to the actual concrete utterance produced by the speaker in the real world. And the surface is the final syntactic arrangement of the words that is derived from the deep structure by applying the transformational rule. So option 2 will be the correct answer. Okay. Next question you have assertion and reason regarding Ferdinand de Saussure's. Assertion is saying, for Saussure, the linguistic sign is completely arbitrary, meaning there is no natural, inherent or logical connection between the signifier and the signified. कल की क्लास में इसको मैंने बहुत अच्छे से समझाया है. Reason is saying the stability of language as a system relies on individual language users changing the meanings of words arbitrarily during the daily performance. Which one will be the correct answer? Here are the options. Quickly comment your answer. Correct answer is option C. A is true, R is false. So arbitrary, he said that there is no natural connection or coherent or inherent between the signifier and the sign. Okay, and reason is false. Why? Because Saussure here argues that the linguistic system, that is lang, is a collective social contract, an individual speaker which cannot make arbitrary change it to all at will during everyday speech, that is the parole. So the stability of language depends on its shared institutionalized nature which resists individual random modifications. Therefore, the reason statement itself is a false. Okay, and the first one is a true. This is how you have to practice now. Now again, this is the matching question, Pidgin Creole. We have done this, so we can skip. Read this question. In stylistic analysis, when a poet or writer overstructures language by repeating identical or highly similar syntactic patterns or sound sequences, such as you have studied anaphora, chiasmus, or systematic alliteration, to create a heightened aesthetic pattern. This specific type of foregrounding is known as. अब इस टाइप की जो foregrounding है उसको क्या कहा जाता है? Here are the options. Subscribe the channel. पढ़ाते पढ़ाते I totally forgot to remind you, जैसे others करते हैं, सब्सक्राइब करो, शेयर करो, लाइक करो. If you like the content, you can like, you can subscribe. If you like the content, you must subscribe. And if any of you have just joined, must subscribe. So correct answer is option B, foregrounding through parallelism. So stylistic identify two primary methods. Statisticians identified two primary methods, remember. The first one, foregrounding, that making language artistically prominent, while deviation breaks linguistic rules. Okay, parallelism introduces an excuse of structural regularities or like pattern following the rhythm, rhyme, or repeating grammatical structure. So it creates an aesthetic order that catches the reader's attention. Okay, and why it was false? Paradigmatic selection is a standard structuralist operation along the vertical axis of language, where a speaker selects one specific word out of a group of possible synonyms, like if anyone has chosen slender instead of skinny. So it does not specifically describe structural repetitions. Option C was also incorrect and option D was also incorrect. Metonymic condensation is a rhetorical and psychological concept dealing with symbolic meaning and association. It is not a structured term for structure or rhythmic repetition. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. अब इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन जब अब आने लग गया है, सो यू मस्ट प्रैक्टिस नाउ. सो यू हैव टू रीड द फॉलोइंग लाइन्स फ्रॉम T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes and the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes. So by reading this, from a semantic and structural linguistic perspective, which specific device is used here to override the regular semantic constants by assigning the animalistic physical features? Example is also given here: back, muzzle to an inanimate element like fog and smoke. See the options. अब ये क्वेश्चंस इस टाइप के थोड़े से ट्विस्टिंग हो जाते हैं, सो यू कैन ओनली आंसर इफ द कॉन्सेप्ट इज क्लियर. ओके, correct answer is option B. It is a selectional restriction violation. Okay. So in semantic feature analysis, what carries specific rules? We all know for how they can combine, known as selectional restrictions. For instance, you must understand that verbs or nouns like muzzle or rubbing one's back carry the semantic feature. That means semantic means meaning. There must be the meaning. That's why we are using the any word. Okay, so S or ED, if we these are the single words, single letters, which doesn't form any meaning, does not define any meaning. That's why these are added. Scenic talk is a figure of speech where a part is made to represent the whole. Okay, all hands on deck. Hyperlage, what is hyperlage? Also known as a transferred epithet, is a device where a modifier grammatically qualifies a noun other than the person or thing it is actually described, the careless night or the sick room. Metonymy is also a semantic relationship that describes a constituent part to whole structures. Now let's move on to the next question. Now see this assertion and reason question. The assertion is saying here that audiolingual method emphasizes intense pattern drills, choral repetition, and immediate error correction without explaining the abstract grammatical rules explicitly. While reason is saying that ALM is theoretically grounded in structuralist linguistics and behaviorist psychology, viewing language acquisition primarily as a process of mechanical habit formation. So which one of them is correct? Is assertion and reason. Here is the options. In case it's confusing and you don't know, ALM audio lingual method. Okay, so correct answer will be option A. Both A and R true, and R is the correct explanation of A. So A, audiolingual method deliberately avoids analytical grammar explanations. Okay, instead it pushes the students to automatically repeat the structures until they become second nature. And there are errors corrected instantly, so habits don't form here. Okay, यहाँ पे हैबिट डेवलप होने की कोई नीड ही नहीं है. And ALM audio lingual method directly applies behaviorist conditioning, like we have done stimulus response reinforcement, because behaviorism treats language as a physical habit rather than an internal. Behaviorism, just we study the theory that we develop habit by observing our surroundings, our parents, and we follow, we learn. That is also a part of language. So, language is a physical habit rather than an internal cognitive system. So, it is the repetition drills are the primary teaching tools. Okay. Now, see this question. Again, it's very important. You have to arrange these following language teaching methods in their correct chronological sequence of emergence and dominance in English language teaching. The direct method you have communicative language teaching, the grammar translation method, audiolingual method. Options was expanding circle, Rajbikachrus, inner circle, outer circle, and expanding circle. So, in which circle India falls? It was outer. Inner was for the native one. Do was the English in India class. Correct answer we have is option C, 3, 1, 4, and 2. So first we will put the grammar translation method, which is by Noam Chomsky, the oldest formal method dominant in the 19th century to teach classical language like Latin, Greek, and the later applied to English. Direct method we have emerged at the 19th century and early 20th century as a radical backlash against the being non-communicative nature of a GTM. Audiolingual method developing during World War I as the army method to train soldiers quickly in spoken terms. So remember this, dominating the 1950s and 60s. The audiolingual method, also known as army method. Communicative language teaching developed in 1970s, 1980s as educators realized that neither the memorization nor the structural drills helped students converse naturally in real life. So in real life, how we acquire the language? Next question we have. Now the important questions are very much you must understand. You have to find the correct regarding the Stephen Krashen's second language acquisition theory. Correct statement. ऐसे statement lengthy questions अगर नहीं NTA definitely give lengthy questions which is time consuming for all of us. So while scrolling क्योंकि ये online होता है, so while scrolling it consumes time. It takes a lot of time. Scrolling up, scrolling down, then we zoom in, we zoom out. So that what it makes us furious. So Stephen Krashen's correct answer will be see the options also. If any of you can get the correct one. Correct answer will be option B, that is 2, 3, and 4 only. Okay. So the monitor hypothesis asserts that conscious learning acts only as an editor or monitor that checks and corrects output generated by the acquired system. The input hypothesis claims that language is acquired when learners receive input that is one step beyond their current level of the competence. Competence you can simply understand like this, your capacity. The affective filter hypothesis argues that emotional variables like high anxiety or low motivation act as a psychological barrier, blocking the input from reaching the language acquisition device. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Now let's understood this important theory, the Sapir Whorf hypothesis, which I was talking about and already explained you in brief. So they collectively gave the concept of linguistic relativity, which is said that this is the strong point, and also they talk about the mechanism. Okay, so strong and weak, I told you the strong was rejected and the weak is still we applying that surroundings we how we perceive the world. So the principle given by them that language does not merely name pre-existing objects in the world, it actively shapes your shapes structures and limits how a specific cultures perceives and categorizes reality. The mechanism is an individual cannot easily think about concepts or any relationships that their native language lacks the structural vocabulary that they express to express. In the same way, Lebovian sociolinguistic variables gave the principle of language. He said that pronunciation variations and phonetic shifts are not random mistakes. They are systematic social identifiers that track a speaker's socio-economic status. So he said that while when we do the errors, when in pronouncing a word, so this is not because of any this is not any random mistakes, but it shows your it shows and defines that it is because of your socio-economic status. Mechanism: informally, speakers here consciously alter their pronunciation toward the dominant high status variety, which is also called hypercorrection. That linguistic variation is tied directly to the social stratifications. Okay, so these are the principles of the language they talked about. Now see the questions. Which statement best describes the core operational premises of the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis? Correct answer is option B. So correct one. They talked about that the grammatical and lexical structure of language determines or influences how its speakers perceive the world. So whenever you find the word perceives in language, perceive the world or surrounding, so you can immediately think about Wolf and Sapir. Okay. Now, next question. William Lebow's research on social stratification demonstrates that linguistic variation in a community is. So, as per his research, क्या है? Correct answer. Option B, that according to William Lebo, a structured system where phonetic shifts correlate directly with the speaker's social class and style, that is the linguistic variation in a community. Linguistic variation in a community, remember, okay? Now practice all the questions. From a structuralist perspective, the concept of linguistic paradigm operates which axis of language organization? See the options. The time waste हो गया. So paradigmic correct answer is option B. It means the vertical axis of substitution where words share a common functional category. This is what the structural perspective and the concept of linguistic paradigm. Next question, what does the term interlanguage refer to in the context of second language acquisition? Interlanguage in second language acquisition, what do you mean by that? Interlanguage in the second language acquisition. Correct answer, option B. So, interlanguage in a second language acquisition is a dynamic rule governed linguistic systems developed by a learner that exist between their native tongue and the target language. So, that is the interlanguage. Remember, it is the existence language between that the language that exists between the target and the native language. Okay, that we speak Hindi and we want to learn English or French or German, Spanish, Australian, Korean, Japanese, Chinese. So that is our targeted language. that we call in a second language acquisition interlanguage का concept है आपका. It is interlanguage coined by Larry Salinker, and interlanguage is the unique evolving internal language system a student creates while learning a new language. It is not a random collection of errors. It has its own temporary structure rules. For example, it describes a pidgin or creole, not an individual learner's path. It describes a universal grammar. It describes Proto-Indo-European, which is a historical ancestor language. Okay. Now, very important question. In pragmatics, performative utterances is defined as a speech act that performative utterances. Get the correct one. Performative utterances. सबका ऐसे 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 जूस बनाकर पी जाइए आप सब. You all just need to drink everything like mixing all together. Correct answer will be option C. So performative utterances is defined as a speech act. It performs a specific real world action simply by the virtue of being spoken aloud under the proper conditions. So it is performative utterances. So you can simply understand the competence and performance by the same topic and the theories by Noam Chomsky. Okay. Move on to the next one. Performative utterances. So, competence and performance is the different term by Noam Chomsky, but this performative utterances, remember, sorry, it is by J.L. Austin. This term is coined by J.L. Austin. Now, let's understood very thoroughly. J.L. Austin, a performative utterances that does not just state information, it does something. I now pronounce. Similarly, just we understood now, John Searle expanded the 5 in 5 categories, the illocutionary, commissive, expressive, directive, you have, and the two others, assertive or the representatives. So you must, this was the declaration. Now, morphology and morphemes we have already studied. So, morphology and morphemes. Morphology is the study of how words are built. शब्द कैसे बनते हैं. So, a morpheme is the smallest unit of grammar that carries actual meaning. Free morphemes we have understood can stand alone as complete words like the word we have built. Bound morphemes must latch onto other words और stand or go to free morphemes. Take help to free morphemes. इसको इसकी help की जरूरत पड़ेगी. Functioning as prefix or suffix. So bound morphics मेजरली यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि आपका प्रीफिक्स और सफिक्स होता है कि ये अकेले दे कैन नॉट बी इंडिपेंडेंट और स्टैंड अलोन और गिव meaning the way the free morphemes give, like the word you have cat, the word you have built, the word you have home, the word you have house, the word you have brother, sister, teacher. So these are the free morphemes, they are giving the proper meaning. लेकिन bound morphemes आपका un, in, ir, these are the words ing which requires free morpheme to form the meaning, to form the complete words. For example, yesterday I told you the same thing, that the root word we have work, but here we are using the er, which is the bound morpheme. Then the word will become the worker. So work is also giving you the complete meaning, and worker is also giving you the complete meaning. Okay. And if we speak, we have word speak is, you can understand that this is the free morpheme, but here we are adding the ing, the word becomes speaking. So speak is also giving you the complete meaning, and speaking is also means the complete. Okay. Allomorphomes are the different phonetic variations of the same morpheme, like in the plural endings, cats, s, dogs, benches. So these are the addition of the, to make the plural forms of the singular noun or the singular words, that is allomorphones. Allomorphs. Linguistic device and semantics we have studied. Now let's match this question. very important one. आज मैं सारे पूरे we will complete all the 100 questions. Okay, whether it will late 8 दो timing already I have told you 8 और 8:30. So one, अभी मैं दूसरा वीडियो रिकॉर्ड कर रही होती बट हो गया. Free morpheme, bound morpheme, allomorph, and infix. How you are going to match? So a core grammatical unit that can stand alone as an independent word. This was the free morpheme, right? A bound morpheme inserted directly inside a root word alter its meaning. So this was the bound morpheme. ये यहाँ भी mention है. Allomorph phonetic variants of a single morpheme that change the sound based on the surrounding of the letters. Cats, bats, workers. And infix is a grammatical unit that cannot stand alone and must attach to a root. 1 second. ये आपका बाउंड मॉर्फिम का हो जाएगा ए का फोर्थ. लेट्स चेक द आंसर. सो ए फर्स्ट से in fourth and second, third we can match with the second. सही है. यहाँ पे we can check with first you can match with third free morpheme. Then we have bound morpheme. Second with fourth, third with second, and fourth with one जाएगा. हाँ, that's why I was feeling कि कुछ है गड़बड़. So infix आपका यहाँ पे जाएगा और bound आपका यहाँ पर आएगा. A grammatical unit that cannot stand alone और उसको help चाहिए तो वो help उसको कौन देगा? Free morpheme देगा. Okay. Now let's see the next question. This is also very good question. Process of blending, clipping, back formation, and coinage. So you have the word gym derived from gymnasium, brunch derived from combining breakfast and lunch, nylon or codec invented completely from scratch, or edit derived by stripping the suffix from the editor. So coinage can take it to the invention. Back formation, gym derived from the gymnasium, हमने इसको back form कर दिया. Okay, edit, clipping and blending, brunch. Easy keyword, if you will find out, it will be easy to get the right answer. Everyone just need practice. Okay. So blending fuses parts of two distinct words together, merging both their physical sounds and their meanings into one new word. Clipping shortens a multi-syllable word by cutting off parts it without cutting off. Clipping यानी कि हम पहले के भी earlier words can be cut, the later one or in from the between or from the middle one. So there is no need to be fixed. Back formation works backward. So a new word, usually a verb, is created by removing a real or imagined affix from an existing word. Like editor say existed first is typing or created the verb edit. Okay. And coinage is the pure creation of completely novel word from thin air common in commercial or the branding. Now see, this question is very important. You have to match these stylistic devices in the with the description. So you have chiasmus, oxymoron, synesthesia, and metonymy. This is the part of PYQ's questions. Very important. See the options. I will put the first class link in the descriptions of this class. So you must watch the first part to understand, to improve your understanding. Correct answer of this question will be option A. Okay. So first you can match with Chiasmus is a sentence structure where two parallel clauses reverse their grammatical order. Okay, oxymoron is a stark structural juxtaposition of two completely contradictory terms right next to each other. Synesthesia, it is a semantic crossover. An experience from one sensory domain is describing using the terms from the other, and metonymy is a process where an entity is referred to by using an attribute closely linked to it. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Remember, Chiasmus uses an inverted structural pattern, flipping the order of words or grammar concepts in the second half of a phrase. Example, he knowingly led and we blindly followed. Shifts from adverb verb to the verb adverb. Okay. Oxymoron and oxymoron pairs two conflicting ideas side by side to spark the compressed paradox. Defending silence is the example. Synesthesia blends different senses in the language, such as describing a sound with a color or the sight with a temperature. So you can imagine and you can have the loud color or the sweet voice. Metonymy swaps the name of an object for the something closely associated with, like using the press to talk about the journalist. Okay, so press we also refer to istri, that we use iron, that we use on our clothes. Okay, again you have to match. You have phoneme, allophone, graph, and grapheme. Okay, see the options. Great answer. Let's finish fast. बहुत अभी classes record करनी है. Option B will be the correct answer. Okay. So phoneme is the smallest abstract unit of sound that changes the meaning of a word. Okay. Allophone is a physical sound variation of a phoneme that does not change a word's meaning. Graph is any distinct individual physical written letter or mark on a page. Graph means writing. Always remember, and you can use in your trick. Grapheme, the smallest abstract unit in a writing system used to distinguish the words. Let's see the next question. Phrase structural rules is given here. Bar theory, immediate constituents. So immediate constituent, the phrase structure, it is a rewrite rules. This is not going to come. X bar theory. X bar theory, this एक दो बार पूछा गया है. This model replaces traditional PSRs to show that all phrases across all human language share an identical three-tiered architectural blueprint. Okay, so head, the intermediate projection, and the maximal projection. So you have three: head, intermediate projection, and the maximal projection. Immediate constituent analysis introduced by Leonard Bloomfield. He analysis cuts a sentence down into its immediate component parts until it reaches the individual words or morphemes, laying the groundwork for modern syntactic word trees. Okay, so उतना we don't need to understand that. Let's practice the question. Yes, let's skip this. Now see this question: ambiguous form and the syntactic diagnosis. Okay, so lexical ambiguity, structural ambiguity, coordination ambiguity, and global ambiguity. Options: do not skip and miss the classes. This is the last moment. Anything will not going to be waste, is not going to be waste. Eventually it will be helpful, will make you knowledgeable, it will help you to crack your net, JRF, any other linguistic exam, literature exam. So stay tuned with the channel, subscribe, share and like. शेयर कर दीजिए बिकॉज टारगेट 3K का एटलीस्ट कंप्लीट हो जाए. क्लासेस नहीं हुई, नहीं तो हो जाता अभी तक. but I really appreciate your patience. So I was keep telling you, um, informing you about the situation, and I really appreciate how patient you were. All, thank you so much. So correct answer will be option one. Okay. Lexical ambiguity is a sentence structure where a single word holds multiple dictionary meanings. Remember, पहले कर चुके हैं हम. Structural ambiguity, a sentence structure that can be drawn as two completely different tree diagrams. Coordination ambiguity is an attachment problem where a modifier could apply to just the first noun or the whole group of conjoined nouns. Global ambiguity is a sentence structure that remains completely ambiguous through its final word or even if after full syntactic parsing. Okay, let's see the next. Now, this is also matching. You have to match the syntactic framework with their pioneer who has coined this. Okay, so you have immediate constituent analysis, transformational grammar, systematic functional grammar or relational grammar. I'm scared कि mic ना off हो जाए फिर से. Options you can check. Correct answer is option one. Immediate constituent analysis is by Leonard Blomfield, sorry. It dissects sentences into the binary structural layers, remember, and which using brackets or the cuts. Transformational grammar, Noam Chomsky, he maps deep structures into the surface structure using the moment operations. Then systematic functional grammar we have, which is by Michael Halliday, treats syntax as a choice, network shaped by the social or communicative needs. While relational grammar is by David Perlmutter, focuses on the core grammatical relations like subject, object rather than the words or the trees. Okay. Now, NTA is asking the questions about phonetics, phonology, place of articulation, manner of articulation. जो मैं आपको बार बार कह रही हूँ revise करे. You must revise for the last moment. So, phonetics consonants are mapped using a three-part structural formula: voicing, that is the vocal cord, while there is a vibration in a voice, place of articulation where the air is blocked, and manner of articulation how the air escapes. So, इसको बिल्कुल you must. And while solving the questions, if you will find in the question paper in the exam, you must use this while pronouncing कि कहाँ पे आपका वॉइसिंग आ रहा है, कहाँ पे प्लेस ऑफ आर्टिकुलेशन यानी कि कहाँ पे एयर ब्लॉक हो रहा है. while pronouncing any word or sentence, एयर ब्लॉक यानी कि you understand. एंड मैनर ऑफ आर्टिकुलेशन की एयर escapes. तो ये आपको बिल्कुल इमीडिएटली अपने माइंड में फिट कर लेना है. सो प्लेसेस ऑफ आर्टिकुलेशन पोजीशंस द फिजिकल स्पीच ऑर्गन्स. फॉर एग्जांपल, bilabial uses both lips. Labiodental, you know, that connects the lower lip to the upper teeth. Upper teeth, alveolar utilizes the tooth ridge, and palatal uses the hard palate. And velar palate, the which is inside our mouth, uses the soft palate. So remember, manner of articulation controls the air flow. ये आपको ना पिक्चर के थ्रू समझ में आएगा. So I should have been added the picture here. Sorry. इसको इफ यू विल अंडरस्टूड थ्रू द इमेजेस दैट व्हाइल पॉइंटिंग आउट कि आपका प्लॉजिव कहाँ है, ग्लोटिस कहाँ पे है, एफ्रिकेट्स कहाँ होता है, वॉइसलेस साउंड वाइब्रेशन कहाँ पे होती है. सो देन यू विल बी एबल टू ग्रैब दिस इमीडिएटली एंड क्लियरली. ओके, ये ऐसे आया था क्वेश्चन आपका. So you have to here find out कि voiceless bilabial plosive कौन से लेटर साउंड में आएगा. वॉइस लेबिडेंटल फ्रिकेटिव, वॉइसलेस alveolar. इन वर्ड्स लेटर्स को आपको बोलकर चेक करना है. यू कैन चेक प में ओनली आर बोथ अपर एंड लोअर लिप्स आर टचिंग ईच अदर. सो प, व्हाट इज इट? प बोलने पे वॉइस वहां पे नहीं आ रहा है हमारा, सो क्या है वो, वॉइस लेबियोडेंटल फ्रिकेटिव है, वॉइसलेस बाइलेबियल प्लॉसिव है, या वॉइसलेस वेलर प्लॉसिव है. ओके, while then you have to see v, then t, then you have to see k. तो अगर इसकी प्रैक्टिस यू कैन डू ना, then you can be able to understand. So p, when pronouncing p in pin, इन पिन, यहाँ पे वोकल कोड डू नॉट वाइब्रेट. प सिंपली बोल रहे हैं, लिप्स टच हो रहे हैं, बट यहाँ पे वॉइसलेस साउंड है, ये वहां पे वाइब्रेशन नहीं आ रहा है. सो द एयर फ्लो इज स्टॉप्ड बाय द बोथ लिप्स बिकॉज प, we have said so lips are touching each other, the voice is remain inside the mouth. So both is, it is a bilabial both lips, and the air is released with a sudden burst which is plosive. हमने प बोला, लिप्स टच में एयर इनसाइड द माउथ रह गया, एंड देन सडन आपका एयर रिलीज होता है, बर्स्ट होता है प. ओके, देन वी हैव व, व्हेन व्हाइल प्रोनाउंसिंग व इन वाइन, वोकल कोर्ड्स वाइब्रेट व, अंदर से हमें वाइब्रेशन फील होता है व. ओके, सो द लोअर लिप टचेस द अपर टिप व. लोअर लिप्स जो है वो हमारा अपर लिप, अपर जो टीथ है उसको टच करता है, उसको हम बोलते हैं लेबियोडेंटल, एंड द एयर हेयर एस्केप्स विद कंटिन्यूअस फ्रिक्शन व्हिच इज आल्सो नोन एज फ्रिकेटिव. ये सारे कीवर्ड यू मस्ट रिमेंबर. ओके, देन व्हाइल प्रोनाउंसिंग द लेटर ट, ट, सो आ टंग हमारा जो हार्ड पैलेट को टच कर रहा है, सो ट, इफ वी आर सेइंग टिप, so the vocal cords remain still voiceless. यहाँ पे voiceless है, कोई vibration नहीं है. The tip of the tongue blocks the air at the both ridge, tooth ridge, which is alveolar, and it's released as a burst that is plosive, t, or a tip. Okay, while pronouncing the letter K in cat, it is a voiceless sound produced by pressing the back of the tongue. Cat, you can see cat. सो कहाँ से वो कहाँ पे वो किस चीज को टच कर रहा है. सो टंग अगेंस्ट द सॉफ्ट पैलेट विच इज सॉफ्ट पैलेट ऑल्सो कॉल्ड वेलर, टू ब्लॉक एंड रिलीज द एयर प्लॉसिव. सो इन सारे लेटर्स को हमने प्रोनाउंस किया है, तो देर इज अ ब्लॉकेज, देन देर इज अ सडन एयर पासेज रिलीज. सो दैट व्हाट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. इसको बार बार प्रैक्टिस है, एमए में मैंने बहुत प्रैक्टिस की है, इसको बहुत अच्छे से समझ आ जाता है, बट सिंस पढ़ाने उतना लिंग्विस्टिक नहीं पढ़ाया जाता है तो भूल जाते हैं, प्रैक्टिस में नहीं रहता है. अब इस टाइप का अगर क्वेश्चन आ गया, द मैनर ऑफ आर्टिकुलेशन सिमिलरली प्लॉसिव, फ्रिकेटिव, एप्लीकेट और नेजल, इसको हम जल्दी से आंसर ही चेक कर लेते हैं. So plosive means when air stops, complete closure to the oral tract followed by a sudden burst release of air, just we said प. तो प से हमारा lips close हो गया, बट एक sudden release हुआ air का. Fricative, the continuous squeezing of air through a highly narrowed vocal tract creating a audible friction. Audible friction, जैसे हमने लेटर बोला था ट. Affricate, a complex sound that begins with a complete air blockage but releases slowly into the friction. Okay, and then nasal, complete closure of the oral tract while the soft palate lowers, forcing air out through the nose. जो nose से air pass out होगा, that will be example. You can see here plosive, like pronounce the word by yourself, b, d or g. So these are the plosive. Sound requires a total shutdown of the air and releases the sudden. Fricative, so, z, f. So these are the fricatives. Okay, never fully stops the air. स भी बोलते हैं तो उसमें एयर हमारा पास होता है, रिलीज होता है. ज भी बोलते हैं तो होता है, फ भी बोलते हैं तो होता है, इसमें एयर ब्लॉकेज नहीं होता है, तो वो आपका फ्रिकेटिव है. एफ्रिकेट, एफ्रिकेट के एग्जाम्पल्स है आपके तो लाइक द वर्ड यू हैव वी यूज इन चर्च और इन जज, ये आपका एफ्रिकेट है. ये हाइब्रिड डबल मोमेंट्स होते हैं. दे स्टार्ट विद अ फुल प्लॉजिव स्टॉप एंड इमीडिएटली ट्रांजिशन इनटू द फ्रिकेटिव स्क्वीजेस, जज, चर्च, दिस टाइप ऑफ वर्ड. Then we have nasal. Nasal means nose. Nasal, the mouth is blocked, but the velum, soft palate, drops like a tap door. sending the entire sound wave into the nasal cavity, like when we pronounce the letter म, न, तो ये हमारे न से साउंड एयर पास होता है, एयर रिलीज होता है. ओके, now similarly we have the vowel feature and the articulatory coordinator. आई होप इतना एनटीए ना पूछे. लो वोवल, फ्रंट वोवल, बैक वोवल क्या होते हैं? सो लेट्स एक बार रिवाइज कर लेते हैं. कुछ भी बुरा नहीं होगा रिवाइज करने में, इतनी दूर आ गए हैं तो. सो हाई क्लोज लेवल, आंसर चेक कर लेते हैं. So high close level produced with the tongue position high up close to the roof of the mouth, like you say I or you. Okay, tongue position. टंग पोजीशन जब हमारे टंग की पोजीशन हाई होती है, लो होती है, राउंड होती है, टच करती है, सो दिस इज द हाई क्लोज वोवल. Then we have low open vowel produced with the tongue resting low down at the bottom of the mouth when we say a. तो हमारे यहाँ पे टंग की जो पोजीशन है वो नीचे टंग को टच करती है. फ्रंट वॉवल प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय पुशिंग द बॉडी ऑफ द टंग फॉरवर्ड, लाइक व्हेन वी से आई. तो आई पे टंग हमारा सामने, हमारे टीथ के सामने आ रहा है, टीथ को टच कर रहा है. ई. ओके, बैक मैं यहाँ पे आपको एक्सपेरिमेंट भी करके दिखा रही हूँ. Back vowel produced by pulling the body of the tongue backward, like when we say you. तो यू में हमारा टंग की जो पोजीशन है वो पीछे जा रही है, बैक जा रही है. When we say क, तो क में भी हमारी पोजीशन बैक जा रही है. तो ये हमारा होता है बैक वॉवल. अंडरस्टैंड कर लीजिए, इसको प्रोनाउंस कर लीजिए, एंड देन यू विल ऑल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड वेरी. Now let's see the correct answer. Sorry, next question. काफी टाइम हो गया. एक ये देख लेते हैं, ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है, फिर फिनिश करते हैं. Phonological process we have assimilation, dissimilation, elision and epenthesis. मैंने ये सारे ऐड किए हुए हैं बिकॉज कुछ भी दिस टाइम आई कैन नॉट एक्सपेक्ट एनीथिंग फ्रॉम एनटीए नाउ. सीरियसली बहुत परेशान कर रखा है, परेशान आप लोगों को कर रखा है ना, लाइक सीरियसली. Let's see the correct answer and finish the fast. 2 घंटे की होने वाली है. Do not miss the class. I'm telling you, I'm doing a lot of hard work for you only. So assimilation, you can match. Assimilation is a process where a sound changes to become more similar to the neighboring sound. Okay, neighboring sound. Dissimilation, we will see the example. A process where two identical or similar sounds change to become less like each other. ये सिमिलर बनना है, इसको इसको लेस बनना है. एलिशन, एलिशन मीन्स डिलेशन भी होता है आपका. द कंप्लीट स्किपिंग और ड्रॉपिंग ऑफ अ साउंड और सेलेबल इन रैपिड स्पोकन स्पीच. सेलेबल की मैंने बहुत प्रैक्टिस की थी अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए. स्ट्रेस सेलेबल, अनस्ट्रेट सेलेबल, कहाँ पे कैसे कौन सी वर्ड को एक एक चीज लिख लिख कर आई यूज टू राइट विथ पेंसिल एंड प्रैक्टिस एवरी डे. Epenthesis, insertion, the addition of an extra sound into the middle of a word to make it easier to pronounce. Okay. Now, example देख लेते हैं. Assimilation sounds modified to blend. For example, when saying input, the alveolar N often morphs into a bilabial N. Input M to match the upcoming bilabial per sound. Then dissimilation sounds such as which requires less historical changes where words containing two or sounds dropped or altered one. And elision, this is the natural sound deletion. In casual speech, for instance, the t sound is usually dropped when pronouncing camera or postman. Postman. So we don't pronounce post. Silent letter words elision. जैसे डाउट वर्ड बोलते हैं तो इसमें हमारा डाउट साइलेंट लेटर हो जाता है. Similarly, they are trying to say this. Now, epenthesis, this insert an extra sound cushion. For example, some speakers add a tiny p sound inside the word warm. Warm. तो यहाँ पर warm m के बाद p का एक बिल्कुल छोटा सा पार्टिकल टाइप साउंड आ जाता है लेटर. तो यहाँ पर एडिशन है warm. Okay. Now let's see the next question. A very supra-segmental and systematic linguistics. Stress, intonation, tone and juncture. Very important. I cannot, अगर चाहो भी तो मैं skip नहीं करना चाहती हूँ इस question को. It's getting time. Class भी upload करना है. So there is a stress, intonation, tone and juncture. अब language में stress क्या होता है, intonation क्या होता है, tone क्या होता है, juncture क्या होता है. Intonation कहाँ पे हमें pause लेना है, tone हमारा क्या होता है, high tone होता है, low tone होता है. Speech में ये key changes. Okay. Juncture क्या होता है? Correct answer आपका यही है. First, stress, the relative degree of muscular force or loudness applied to a specific syllable within a word. किस लेटर पे, किस वर्ड पे हमारा स्ट्रेस ज्यादा पड़ रहा है. जैसे कि हम हिंदी में समझते हैं कि छोटी की मात्रा कहते हैं, बड़ी की मात्रा कहते हैं, तो बड़ी की मात्रा पे स्ट्रेस ज्यादा आता है, छोटी की मात्रा पे स्ट्रेस कम आता है. सिमिलरली कोई वर्ड हम बोलते हैं डीकंस्ट्रक्शन, डीकंस्ट्रक्शन, तो डीकंस्ट्रक्शन कहने में डी पे हमारा स्ट्रेस ज्यादा आया है. डीकंस्ट्रक्शन, ट्रक पे फिर आया है, उसके बाद कन पे नहीं आया है, तो यहाँ पर हमें सेलेबल को काउंट करना होता है. ओके. And intonation, the shifting patterns of pitch arises and falls across an entire sentence to signal meaning or emotion. Shifting patterns of pitch. Intonation आपका होता है high and low, pitch, falls and rise. Okay. जब अभी जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं अभी बहुत 1.5 घंटे की वो क्लास रिकॉर्ड की मैंने, एंड माई माइक वॉज ऑफ, सो दैट 1.5 hour wasted. सो सिंस कंटिन्यूसली, और इस क्लास का भी ऑलमोस्ट 2 hours कंप्लीट होने वाला है. सो सिंस ऑलमोस्ट 3.5 hour आई एम स्पीकिंग कंटिन्यूसली. सो नाउ आई एम फीलिंग टायर्ड, I am feeling exhausted. So because of my exhaustion, my intonation of the speech sound will go high and low. Okay. When I said now please you read the question by yourself because I'm tired, वहां पर जो इंटोनेशन होता है वो लो चला जाता है. फिर कहीं पे जैसे हम लाउड होते हैं, एंग्री होते हैं, तो राइज होता है. तो ये आपका इंटोनेशन होता है. टोन, द यूज ऑफ पिच चेंजेस ओवर अ सिंगल सैलेबल टू चेंज द कोर लेक्सिकल मीनिंग ऑफ वर्ड. जंक्चर क्या होता है? ना, आई एम सीरियसली टायर्ड. The specific phonetic boundary cause that separates words and prevents blending. Okay. जैसे नाइट्रेट से नाइट्रेट, तो वर्ड आपका नाइट्रेट बन जाता है. नाउ हियर इसकी प्रैक्टिस आप कर लेना, क्योंकि आपका आया था सेलेबल्स काउंट करने के लिए, उसमें क्वेश्चन था. दे विल गिव यू द क्वेश्चन एंड आस्क यू दैट उसमें 6 सेलेबल्स है, कौन से वर्ड में 7 सेलेबल्स आया है, 6 सेलेबल्स आया हुआ है, तो यू हैव टू काउंट. सो यहाँ पे स्ट्रेस एम्फसाइज सर्टेन सेलेबल्स, मार्किंग देम एज अ लॉन्गर एंड लाउडर. इट कैन ऑल्टर वर्ड्स ग्रामेटिकल क्लास. लाइक इंक्रीज में इज अ नाउन व्हाइल इंक्रीज इज अ वर्ब. ओके. तो इंक्रीज, क्री क्री री पे आपका स्ट्रेस आ रहा है, इंक्रीज, तो इसमें आपका सेलेबल काउंट होगा इंक्रीज. इंक्रीज एक सेलेबल, 2 सेलेबल, ऐसे पता करना पड़ेगा, प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी बहुत ज्यादा. सेकेंड है इंटोनेशन पैटर्न चेंजेस अक्रॉस अ होल क्लॉज सिग्नल ग्रामर. जैसे आपको बताया, राइजिंग पिच, गोइंग हाई एंड लो, द साउंड स्पीच. Tone, unlike intonation, true tone changes the dictionary definition of an individual word based on its syllable pitch, and juncture handles the spacing of speech. It is the micro pause that tells a listener you said ice cream instead of I scream. I scream, मैं चिल्ला रही हूँ. I scream. There is a difference ना. Let's see the next question everyone. Pragmatics and discourse, हमने इसको ग्रीस कोऑपरेटिव प्रिंसिपल समझा दिया है मैंने आपको. ये 4 मैक्सिम्स भी आपको मैंने, आई हैव टोल्ड यू क्वांटिटी, क्वालिटी, रिलेशन एंड मैनर. ओके. Do not forget anything at least. So now this type of question we also have practice the maximum of quantity, maximum of quality, maximum of relation and maximum of manner. So maximum of quality, let एक बार रिवाइज करवा देती हूँ, कोई बात नहीं. Maximum of quantity, speaker gives exactly the necessary amount of information without over explanation. Okay. जितना जरूरत है उतना ही वो आपको इंफॉर्मेशन देगा, ऐसा कुछ रैंडम अपनी तरफ से एग्जैगरेशन नहीं होगा. Then maximum of quality, a speaker only makes claims that they believe to be true and backed by the evidence. So whatever you are saying, that should be the very fact about being the by maintaining the quality of the speech. Maximum of relation, your speaker keeps their contribution strictly relevant to the ongoing topic of discussion. अगर यहाँ पर if we are only talking about the four maxims of Grimm's law, so we will only discuss about the maxims, four maxims like quality, quantity, relation. हम किसी और topic पे नहीं चले जाएंगे until unless it requires any suggestions or any examples. And maximum of manners, a speaker avoids ambiguous, confusing expressions and speaks in clear, orderly sequence. Okay, I gave you my example while teaching you, and I relate to you so that you can understand. ये सेम आपका अब यहाँ पर सेंटेंसेस दिए गए हैं, सेंटेंस से मैंने समझा दिया था आपको, तो वी कैन स्किप दिस. ये पीडीएफ जिन्होंने लिया है काफी हेल्पफुल है, वो प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. आई होप सारे क्वेश्चन इसमें से ही आ जाए. ये भी हम स्पीच एक्ट थियोरी में जो आपके जॉन सर्ले ने 5 कैटेगरीज इलोक्यूशनरी के बताए हैं, दैट डायरेक्टिव, कमिसिव, एक्सप्रेसिव, उसको भी एंड असर्टिव रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स, which we also have understood very clearly. You must remember everyone. एलिप्सिस भी हो गया है हमारा, कोहेशन भी हो गया है, स्ट्रक्चरल डिजाइन भी समझा दिया, चार्ल्स हॉकेट का है. एक सेकेंड, लेट मी, इसको डुअलिटी ऑफ पैटर्निंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. आई कैन नॉट स्किप दिस. आए या ना आए, हम इसको स्किप नहीं कर सकते. डुअलिटी ऑफ पैटर्निंग, चार्ल्स एफ हॉकेट, स्ट्रक्चरल डिजाइन फीचर्स ऑफ ह्यूमन लैंग्वेज पॉपुलराइज्ड बाय द लिंग्विस्टिक. कल वाली क्लास में डुअल लैंग्वेज और डुअलिटी ऑफ पैटर्निंग नाम से आई हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड यू अर्लियरली. So by the linguist Charles Hockett in 1960, and these features separate human language from the animal communication system. और ये आपको बहुत frequently asked topics है by net. So duality of patterning और duality of structure और dual language, जहां पर भी dual duality आएगा you can understand. So duality of patterning में जो language है is organized into two structural layers. The lower layer consists of a limited set of meaningless sound units that we have phonemes, and the higher layer combines these sounds into an infinite number of the meaningful units that we use in the morphemes and words. Okay, so this is we call duality of a patterning. Remember, then हमारा arbitrariness आ जाता है. Arbitrariness as per the Saussure, we have he said that there is no natural or logical connection between a linguistic sign. Okay, and displacement is the human language where they can communicate about the things, events and abstract ideas that are not physically present in the immediate environment, and this allows us to talk about the past, future, imaginary concept or distant locations. So this is the displacement. Past, future, this thing, it's not done, cannot be done by the animals. Okay, so here Charles Hockett's aim was to differentiate, separate the human language and animal language. Okay, तो इसको मैं समझा देती हूँ जल्दी से आपको, सबका आंसर एक दूसरे के सामने ही मेंशन किया हुआ है. Duality of patterning is a two-tiered structured system where a finite set of meaningless sound combines to form an infinite number of meaningful words. जैसे phoneme, pre-morpheme, noun morpheme रहता है, दोनों को एक दूसरे की requirement है. So they will do that. Duality of patterning बोला जाएगा उसको. Arbitrariness आपको बता दिया है, the total absence of any inherent, natural or iconic connection between a linguistic signifier and to its mental concept. उसका कोई कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है. Displacement, the cognitive ability to communicate about entities or the events that are removed in time, space or the reality from the speaker, like we are talking about the past, future. And prevarication, the unique structural capacity of language that here user to deliberately deliver false, unprovable or the imaginary statements. Okay, so this is the correct answer. ड्युअलिटी ऑफ पैटर्निंग को एक बार एग्जांपल से आप समझ लीजिए. दिस इज द लैंग्वेज एफिशिएंसी एट लेवल 1. वी हैव मीनिंगलेस साउंड बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स, जो हमने मॉर्फीम्स फोनोलॉजी में किया था. वी हैव द सिंगल लेटर क, के, सी. सो व्हाइल कंबाइनिंग द वर्ड्स वी फॉर्म द वर्ड्स. वर्ड फॉर्मेशन कैसे होता है, यहाँ पे जी है, ओ है, डी है. एट लेवल 2 वी अरेंज देम इनटू द मीनिंगफुल स्ट्रक्चर. सो जी यहाँ पे हमने कंबाइन किया तो क्या बन गया, डी ओ जी डॉग बन जाएगा, या फिर जी ओ डी गॉड बन जाएगा. तो इस टाइप के वर्ड आपके बन जाएंगे. ओके, जो ये चीजें आपके एनिमल्स में नहीं होती है. एनिमल सिग्नल्स लैक दिस टू टायर डिजाइन. तो यही आपका डुअलिटी ऑफ पैटर्निंग है. 100 questions we have finally reached, and this is the again duality of patterning, limitation of arbitrariness, practical application, and limited spatial displacement. Finally, we have reached the 100 questions. Let's skip this. होप ना दे ये एनपीए, सभी ना आए. 101 आर्बिट्रेरी डिस्प्लेसमेंट, इसको कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, मैच करना है. यू हैव टू मैच दिस थ्योरेटिकल टर्म एंड विद देयर कॉन्सेप्ट. So correct answer will be arbitrariness, unmotivated sign. There is no connection between duality of patterning and double articulation. Andre Martinez's term for the two-tier layout. Remember, Charles F. Hockentin को later conceptualize किया, but ये originally double articulation and duality of patterning दोनों same आपको meaning देते हैं, लेकिन एक एंड्रे मार्टिनेट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है ये. रिमेंबर, डबल आर्टिकुलेशन की बात उन्होंने कही थी. Displacement, freedom from the stimulus control. Culture transmission, that means there is a traditional transmission. It means learning language from a social group rather than via genetics. So instead of learning anything from our ancestors, from our parents, we are learning from the social group. ये हम पढ़ चुके हैं. सैंडर्स पियर्स ट्रैजिक साइन मॉडल, आइकन चार्ल्स सैंडर्स पियर्स. इंपॉर्टेंट तो है ये. पियर्स ने कैटेगराइज किया है साइन बेस्ड ऑन हाउ द सिग्निफायर रिलेट्स टू इट्स ऑब्जेक्ट. ओके, so icon, the sign physically resembles its object like a portrait or map or the onomatopoeia. Index, very important, the sign is directly physically connected to its object as evidence or cause and effect. Symbol, the sign has no physical link to its object and the connection is purely learned through the social convention. Like traffic lights जो हम देखते हैं, red है, green है, yellow है, so we just understood by watching those symbols. While walking and going on the road, by car, by walking, so we just see the symbols instead of any written, instead of any writing. So by watching those symbols we understood कि इस साइन हमें क्या इंडिकेट कर रहा है, हमें उसको कैसे अंडरस्टूड करना है, वो आपका सिंबल हो जाएगा. इस क्वेश्चन को एक बार मैच कर लेते हैं तो हमें पता लग जाएगा, क्लियर हो जाएगा कॉन्सेप्ट. Icon shares a direct physical resemblance or the sound imitation, okay, with its object. Like photograph, index displays an existential cause and effect linked to its object, like a smoke pointing to a fire. Symbol relies on entirely conventional learned social contract with no physical link, okay. And interpretant, the mental concept understanding or the psychological effect generated in the mind of the sign what we have received. But interpretant in the sense कि हमने अगर sign, if we have हमने ये sign देखा है, तो इसका क्या मीनिंग है, ये हमें कहाँ पे टर्न करने के लिए बोल रहा है, या फिर हमने ये साइन भी देखा है तो ये इसका मीनिंग क्या है, या फिर कहीं पे अगर ये बना हुआ है या कहीं पे ये डेंजर सा साइन बना होता है, सो व्हाट डज इट मीन, हम उसको कैसे इंटरप्रेट करते हैं। अगर हमें उस सिंबल का मीनिंग नहीं पता, हमने नहीं पढ़ा है कि बुक में ये डेंजर का साइन होता है, ये हमें स्ट्रेट जाने के लिए कह रहा है, ये हमें यू टर्न जाने के लिए कह रहा है, ऐसे बना होता है आपका यू टर्न का साइन, ये सर्कल हो गया सॉरी, तो हाउ विल अंडरस्टैंड, हम इसको कैसे इंटरप्रेट करेंगे। आई थिंक लेट्स, ये भी एक इम्पोर्टेंट है, इसको भी स्किप नहीं करते कोई बात नहीं। इसमें लिटोस, एंटिथेसिस, ऑक्सीमोरन सब आ गए ना, फिगर ऑफ स्पीच, ये भी तो आते हैं एग्जाम में। So oxymoron compresses a paradox into a tight two-word phrases, pairing completely contradictory terms side by side. Antithesis, it is a sets up a formal, balanced grammatical parallel to contrast two opposing ideas across two complete clause. Okay. Paradox is a constructs a self-contradictory statement or premises that seems absurd at first but reveals a deeper truth upon the analysis. And Littles employs an ironical understatement by using a double negative to affirm a positive. Just I gave you the example that he is not a fool. That means you are saying that he is smart. तो आपका लिटोस था। अब हो गया आई थिंक। पैराडॉक्स का बहुत ही फाइन कॉमन एग्जांपल है, द चाइल्ड इज फादर ऑफ द मैन, ओके, and to err is human, to forgive divine. This is the example of antithesis. And bitter sweet, ओपन सीक्रेट और क्रूअल काइंडनेस, ये ऑक्सीमोरन होता है जो आपके दोनों ऑपोजिट वर्ड्स हैं एक साथ स्टैंड करते हैं। कड़वा सच, ओनोमेटोपिया, पैराडॉक्स, ऑक्सीमोरन, एंटिथेसिस, ये फिर से आ गया, एक दो डिफरेंट होगा, सिनेडॉक, मेटोनिमी, एनोमेट, ये वी हैव डन ना। ओके, एलिट्रेशन, कॉन्सोनेंट्स, इसको कर लेते हैं, इसको भी नहीं छोड़ना नहीं छोड़ना कुछ भी। अब इसके बाद आपका वन लाइनर का क्वेश्चन आएगा जिसमें मैंने पीवाई क्यूज इंक्लूड कर दिया है। यू वॉन्ट बिलीव टुडे आई हैव जनरेटेड 4000 वन लाइनर क्वेश्चंस। देखिए कितना कितना हार्ड वर्क कर रही हूँ मैं जस्ट फॉर यू। सो वन लाइनर क्वेश्चन वी विल प्रैक्टिस along with the पीवाई क्यूज भी ऐड कर दिया है। Alliteration is the repetition of identical or similar consonant sounds at the start of neighboring words. जैसे कि पिटर पैटर वर्ड्स हम यूज करते हैं, सी शेल, सी शेल्स, सी शोर। कॉन्सोनेंट्स द रेपिटेशन ऑफ आइडेंटिकल और सिमिलर कॉन्सोनेंट साउंड्स इनसाइड और एट द नेबरिंग वर्ड्स विद डिफरेंट वोवेल्स। एसोनेंट्स आपका क्या होता है, रेपिटेशन ऑफ आइडेंटिकल और द सिमिलर इंटरनल वोवेल। ये क्लास 8:30 पे जाएगा आई गेस। एंड कैकोफोनी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, डू नॉट फॉरगेट एवरीवन, लास्ट के जो क्वेश्चन है मस्ट प्रैक्टिस। द डेलिब्रेट, मैं उनके लिए भी कह रही हूँ जिन्होंने नोट्स परचेज कर लिया है, वेरी गुड, बट ये लास्ट के क्वेश्चंस, डिवाइसेस, फिगर ऑफ स्पीच, डू प्रैक्टिस। सो डेलिब्रेट अरेंजमेंट ऑफ हार्श, शार्प, unmelodious consonant. Now let's see the example. So alliteration tracks the initial sound positions, okay? Like just I gave you the example. फॉरो फॉलोड फ्री, तो यहाँ पे एफ का रेपिटेशन हो रहा है हर वर्ड के इनिशियल उसमें, ये दिस इज द कॉन्सोनेंट, रिपीटेशन ऑफ द कॉन्सोनेंट्स। अलिट्रेशन, कॉन्सोनेंट्स ट्रैक्स मैचिंग कॉन्सोनेंट लाइक ब्लैक, जैक, ओके, सेम क्या मैच कर रहा है यहाँ पे आपका वर्ड्स, एक्। देन वी हैव एसोनेंट्स, ब्लू लेते हैं, मे बी ग्रीन से बोर हो गई है। So assonance tracks vowel matching inside the words, and while the surrounding consonants stay different, that is the long here sound in fleet and feet, the e sound, the long vowel, like we when we use the double vowel sound. Cacophony deliberately used hard jarring sounds like plosive p, b, t, k to break up the rhythm and make the lines sound harsh and rough. So remember everything. लैंग्वेज प्लानिंग एंड स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन भी है आपका, ये एनर हॉगिन का है, जिसमें ही हैज टॉक्ड अबाउट सिलेक्शन, कोडिफिकेशन, इलाबोरेशन एंड एक्सेप्टेंस। ओके, तो ये उसी पे है आपका। इसको एक क्वेश्चंस को कर लेते हैं, सबके सेम एग्जांपल्स है, अच्छा है। Selection is a choosing a specific regional or social dialogue to serve as the basis for national language. And codification, ये आ चुका है आपका codification. Do not forget to prepare. I am telling you, if you really want to score well, do not skip the class. And क्या यूज किया है मैंने अभी? 5 categories by the John Searle, which categories I have just used. So elaboration, codification, creating standard dictionaries and grammar textbooks to the fix the language structures. Okay. Elaboration, expanding the vocabulary and grammar rules to adapt the language for science, law, and politics. And acceptance, promoting the mandating the new standards language by the schools, media, and the public who adopts it. So this is the correct matching. There are so many questions. So selection, codification, again with अब यहाँ पे उनकी मिडलैंड डायलेक्ट्स दिए गए हैं. प्लानिंग, कॉर्पस प्लानिंग सब है इसमें. ओके, कितने क्वेश्चंस कर लिए हमने? एक्रोलेक्ट, बेसिलेक्ट है, सोशियोलेक्ट. सोशल एक्ट यू अंडरस्टैंड ना? सोशल एक्ट दैट मीन्स ये आपका जो हम नॉर्मल ग्रामेटिकल रूल्स है उससे हटके हम जो सोशल सोसाइटी रूल्स के अकॉर्डिंग व्हेन वी ट्राई टू कम्युनिकेट एंड वी लर्न द लैंग्वेज, वो आपका सोशल एक्ट है. सो डू नॉट गेट कंफ्यूज, ये आपका बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और रिपीटेड है. ओके, सो आई थिंक वी हैव फिनिश्ड. ये switching code mixing, lingua franca is a common language adopted for communication between speech communities that do not share a native tongue. Okay. इंटर लैंग्वेज भी मैंने आपको समझा दिया है. प्रोटो इंडो यूरोपियन क्या है? प्रोटो इंडियन यूरोपियन कॉन्सेप्ट स्प्लिट्स एंड चेंज द फॉर्म टू प्रोटो जर्मेनिक लैंग्वेज. प्रोटो जर्मेनिक लैंग्वेज इवेंचुअली इवॉल्व इनटू ओल्ड इंग्लिश में. जैसे कि आपका इंग्लिश आपका डायलेक्ट से लैंग्वेज बना, तो वो फ्रेंच लैंग्वेज, जर्मन लैंग्वेज का कॉम्बिनेशन ही था. अब यहाँ पे ग्रीम्स लॉ के अकॉर्डिंग उन्होंने वॉइसलेस, वॉइस्ड स्टॉप्स एंड वॉइस्ड एस्पारेट्स की भी बात की है. This PDF is extremely helpful if any of you are preparing for D+B exam or any other literature exam, जिसमें आपके इसके सभी के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं लिटरेचर लिंग्विस्टिक के. दिस क्लास इज हेल्पफुल फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. पीजीटी लेवल से लेके टीजीटी लेवल तक, यूजीसी नेट स्पेसिफिकली, D+B specifically, you do share to all the students who are preparing and ask them to subscribe and like the session. Thank you. Okay, so we have finished all the questions everyone. अब ये high long vowels हम कर चुके हैं, low mid vowels, old English, middle English, यहाँ से लैंग्वेज कैसे ट्रांसफॉर्म हुआ है आपका. काफी हेल्पफुल बनाया था मैंने ये पीडीएफ फॉर द पेड मेंबर्स. So here subscribe for UGC NET SET and D+B exam or any state level exam you are preparing now. So how do you like the class? तो अभी तक जितने भी क्लासेस है वो 3 hours पार हो चुकी है. तो ये भी अगर मैंने कल पूरा कंटिन्यूसली रिकॉर्ड किया होता तो ये भी 3 घंटे हो चुका होता, क्योंकि ये 2 घंटे 18 मिनट यहाँ पे हो गए हैं. So how do you like the class, everybody? Let me tell you, if any of you want the particular note or the complete revision bundle notes, just you have 9 days left. You can take and practice. This is the email ID. 2025 last year, I just randomly started the channel, and once I started receiving the appreciation, I have to carry on. The student asked me that I should carry on. Okay, so they are very loyal of. I really appreciate it. So I'm doing this a lot of hard work just for them. कि हो जाए. I will pray to my God कि हो जाए. JRF नेट पे जिसका भी हो जाए. एनटीए तो नहीं चाहता है कि इस देश में किसी भी स्टूडेंट का भला हो, बट द यूट्यूबर्स टीचर, जिसको अंजना ओम कश्यप सेड, दो कौड़ी के टीचर्स, सो वी वांट कि यस, समथिंग विल गुड हैपन टू ऑल ऑफ यू. इस मेल पे यू कैन मेल एंड लेट मी नो दैट if you want any PDF or MCQs, practice, any content, anything, just let me know by this email. And then once you will email ना, you will immediately receive the feedback. जितने भी members purchase कर चुके हैं उनको immediately feedback मैंने दिया है, reply किया है, response किया है, जैसे मैं आपकी comments का भी करती हूँ. तो if you like the class, do comment, let me know how I have done. अगर अच्छा नहीं किया तो भी बोले, बुरा किया तो भी बोले, but I will improve. Thank you so much for watching. And subscribe the channel, share to all of the members, students, literature students. आप जिस भी ग्रुप का पार्ट है वहां पे लिंक ड्रॉप कर दीजिए कि सभी देख लें, सब्सक्राइब कर लें. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. आप अपना ख्याल रखिए. टेक केयर ऑफ योर सेल्फ. Practice well, revise well, mock test, MCQs, PYQs, and class with Shabnam ma'am. Let's say bye bye. मुझे क्लास भी अपलोड करनी है. Take care of yourself and bye bye.